hand over to you.
Thanks, Amit. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And yeah, um, in this particular session, I would be just walking down what has been my journey to this to reaching the certification of certified technical architect, and what were the key learnings along the path. And also during the path, uh, yeah, I ended up creating few mind maps for myself, which I would be sharing it with you all. So before going diving into the agenda, I'll just quickly introduce myself. So myself, Nikunj Doshi. I am Sydney-based Mumbaikar. So I've basically been born and brought up in Mumbai. Currently based in Sydney, working as a senior manager slash hands-on technical architect at Deloitte Digital. Hands-on because yeah, the developer in me is still alive, and yeah, I pounce on every other opportunity to write some bits and pieces of code, and yeah, or build any config. So hence I call myself a hands-on technical architect. Apart from that, on the personal front, just a family man. I live with my wife and my brother in Sydney. My mom, dad are based in Mumbai. I'm a lifelong learner, which is a very important attribute, not just for CTA, but yeah, overall in life, according to me. And yeah, I've been part of the Salesforce Trailblazer community for around 8+ years now. And if you wish to connect with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, search Nikunj Doshi, and hopefully I will pop up. And I also used to write a blog once upon a time. It's called struckbylightning.github.io, which has been actually struck by lightning, and I haven't written much on it since past 2 years. But yeah, there are few yeah lightning components development related blogs in case you wish to see. Cool. I'll just jump into our agenda for tonight or this morning, according to your time zone. For me, it's early morning. This is like yeah, I'm like CTA brings you in a state that you can wake up in between your sleep, and yeah, you will be ready to present. So yeah, that's the state which I am in. So it's 2 a.m. in Sydney right now. So yeah, the agenda for tonight is going through just a 101 on CTA, what CTA is actually, and how do you what are the steps in the journey? What was my journey to CTA? I would also share insights on how did I went about preparing, and also my I have attempted twice. I cleared on the second attempt. So what was the difference between my first attempt and my second attempt, and what were the key takeaways? Additionally, this is something that I created for myself, speaking points and artifact templates. So will be taking you guys over the same, and the other thing is going through a system landscape, a sample system landscape, and a sample data model from one of my mock exams, and also how do I land to that particular artifact? What sort of what sort of a mind map that I use? So I have a mind map prepared that I would be sharing, and finally some hot tips or key tips from my experience of being on journey to CT, and finally reaching the pinnacle, kind of a pinnacle. So and yeah, and at the end, I would open it up for Q&A. Would yeah, the reason behind not recording the session and having it live with you all is specifically for the Q&A part. So please do ask. And yeah, your questions can vary in terms of where in what stage of your journey you are. I welcome all questions. So without any further ado, let's just move on with our presentation. So yeah, CTA 101, I guess most of you would have seen the pyramid to get eligible to sit for the review board. You need to get your all the required prerequisite certificates for your application architect and system architect, and then you are eligible for to sit on the review board. However, with that said, the distance between achieving both of this credential and being actually ready to sit and clear the review board, that it requires considerable effort to reach from this point on to this point. And in hindsight, if someone would have asked me what would have I changed if I had to take on this journey again, is when I was going through my individual architect certifications, what I would have what I would have done differently is understood the CTA review board structure and what is expected in a review board first, and then go with the certification. So with CTA in the site, go for your domain certs. However, I had no clue about CTA till the time I reached both of the certifications. I knew that after I do this, there is something called a CTA. So yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't very well aware about that. So I would, yeah. If someone of, if anyone in the audience is starting your journey, uh, yeah, definitely understand the CTA. Have a just get a sense check of how CTA works, and then go with your domain certifications, keeping CTA inside. Uh, so what happens on the actual review board day? So the whole exam is broken down into three sections. You are given a case study. Uh, Generally, in my experience, around 8 to 11 pages long. You have 3 hours to read, to digest all the information, to solution, to design a solution, and come up with a detail level solution, and also justification for all the architectural pieces that you'll be putting forward. So this 3 hours sets you up for the next rounds. That is the presentation, where whatever you have prepared in this first 3 hours is what you will be presenting in next 45 minutes to a panel of judges. So there will be three certified technical architects in the panel who would be assessing you. So after the presentation, there will be a brief 10-15 minutes break followed by a Q&A. And this is where you are prepared, you are presented. Now it's the time for them to question you, and you to defend your solution, you modify your solution, or yeah, answer on what you see as well. So this is a very critical time in terms of this can make or break your CTA dream. This Q&A time. So I'll just go through what are the key. We'll just try to understand what are the things that judges are looking for, and how can we prepare better as we go through the presentation. Cool. Just a little bit about my journey. Again, this might be helpful for someone with a similar pathway, probably. There has been lots being talked about, like admin to CTA, and that is possible. But yeah, for me, my journey was a typical developer to architect kind of a progression, with an interesting twist that uh, I graduated in 2012, and then started my career in sales as a business development executive, working for an information security company. So that sales experience, yeah, that was the first time that I got exposed to Salesforce, and I was actually using Salesforce to, like as in the team that I was working with, were using Salesforce to track our leads and opportunity. So yeah, I started my career as an end user, and then moved into Infosys, and via the campus training, got trained in object oriented programming. And yeah, that was the first introduction for me to the world of coding. And yeah, that was yeah, I graduated as an electronics and telecom engineering, as an engineering graduate, and never thought that I would enjoy coding, or developing yeah, solutions and applications that much. But yeah, for me, I enjoyed my career as a developer. So I was working as a developer from 2014 to 2018. Worked on many projects, coded millions and millions lines of code. Yeah, day and night was coding. But yeah, for me, what what I enjoyed as my career as a developer was uh, just the art of creation. You creating something, so that was fun. However, like while I was doing that, I got an opportunity to work on a couple of pro bono opportunities. This was in back in Mumbai. My friends used to run my couple of friends used to run an NGO, and they required some solution. So that was the first time I was confronted with a situation where I did not have a specific problem at hand. I did not have to write lines of code to meet that problem, but I had to design like an end-to-end solution that solves the actual business requirements. And that was my first exposure to the art of architecting, probably, yeah, to put it that way. And after doing that project, and that was I developed a new interest in architecture as a whole, and then started my journey, trying to get more and more opportunities to jump onto to yeah, any opportunities that I can take on, where I'm not just coding, but I'm working with actual end users and end customers, and getting the business requirement first, and then coming up with a scalable and yeah, like a scalable solution. So that became my passion in 2018, 2019, and this is where I started my journey. So 2014 was my first certification with a developer. Um, I was coding day and night till 2018, but I never thought certification was never a thing for me. I thought did not just interest me, but yeah, as soon as I discovered this application architect and system architect track and did one of the certification, I realized there was so much to learn and so much valuable to learn that you can implement on a day-to-day basis, and that triggered me, and then I got all my certs in, like, I got my prerequisite certs in 2018. Took 2019 as a year for me to gain few additional certs around like the sales cloud consultant, service cloud consultant, those kind of certifications. But take this time to actually how that work with my mentors to develop that confidence that yes, I can go and approach for CTA, and started working towards the CTA in 2019, and that's where I switched from a smaller consulting partner to Deloitte, with CTA inside, with the idea of uh, getting mentored by a certified technical architect, Paul Fail, and also getting exposed to enterprise scale projects. I had done a few enterprise scale projects by then, but I not played a role of a technical architect as a designation. And this was my entry into the world of technical, like officially designated as a technical architect on massive enterprise scale project with thousands of users. So that got started my journey. So yeah, this was my career progression, and my strategy from the start has been quite simple: um, gain experience, master the craft, and be persistent towards it. And yeah, the rest will follow at the right time, and that has been happening. And this is just a image from my preparation time, clicked by my wife without me knowing, which I really like. uh, just like my apartment was plastered with all of the CTA artifacts, everywhere, for almost a year. But yeah, that helped me build that mind map. So I had key things hanging on my wall all the time. So yeah, cool. So in case you are interested in just reading this text, which is really small here, you can connect me on LinkedIn. I've pasted this article which goes through progression, my progression in detail. Cool. Okay, so this would be interesting for a few of you. I know many of you have asked me some questions around this, so I thought of putting a small table in terms of how did my first attempt was my second attempt. So just in terms of the prep time, so I had an 8+ years of relevant experience. With the experience in hand, I was able to yeah actively prepare. My motto for the first attempt was simple, that I wanted to, like, uh, yeah, my motto was simple, that I'll give it early. If I fail, if I will fail. But yeah, I would end up learning. Yeah, yeah, I would end up learning a lot. So I prepared for 3 to 4 months actively, using my December break, like spending the whole day in library, and just not mugging up with the content, but yeah, just finalize. Like, I had the experience, like I had given the previous domain certification, so I had the knowledge, but yeah, then realized that CTA required actually quite more. So I did. I was super focused, laser focused, I would say, during my first attempt on my CTA review board, and did nothing but just studied. Attempted 8 mocks, had almost no study buddies, I would say, during my first attempt. I had a mentor, but no study buddies, and yeah, and the end result for me was I got a relatable scenario. Relatable as in I had worked on a similar like scenario for a client before, so I had a similar scenario. But where did I goof up in my first attempt was I acted as a consultant. I was giving options with pros and cons, and I struggled badly when they asked me which one do you recommend, or I was not acting as an architect, what is required for this particular certification. So yeah, compared to my second attempt, I did act as an architect, provided strong recommendations with considerations and assumptions, and when required, I provided alternative options. But yeah, not yeah, I provided strong recommendations the second time around. So I had to change my strategy a bit in terms of how I was planning to prepare. And yeah, uh, just on the point of the study buddies, yeah, like in my second attempt, I collaborated with many, like around 6+ people. This helped me clear my doubts, also share the learnings that I was gaining, and the most important, yeah, like it's a long journey. Like for me, it lasted more than almost over a year. Uh, so it's important to stay motivated and stay on the track, because yeah, you can lose the sight of the goal quickly. So this is where my study buddies came in handy, and the regular study sessions. So yeah, I would highly recommend you pair up with not one or two, but yeah, as many people as possible, and try to catch up on regular cadence. Uh, and in case you do not find people, yeah, you can go on Trailblazer community on LinkedIn, and yeah, start something, if the nothing exists. But yeah, if you search, there are many groups active and running. So, just in terms of the number of mocks that I did in my second attempt, I did many, that many that I lost the count of it. I did some with mock judges, I some by judging my own self, and some just reading it out. And this would be my second or third reading of the same case study, but yeah, that like just reading it to increase my speed, and also increase the time of processing those requirements quickly. And yeah, just a small thing, like from my first failed attempt to my second attempt, I did not. I was focused on getting CT. I did not. I did not ever believe that I cannot get it, because in my first attempt I came really close, and I exactly knew after leaving that review board room what I had made mistakes that would cost my certification, and that was the actual feedback that I got. So I was confident on that, so that if I work on those areas, I have a good shot on getting this one. However, I did not. This time around, given that I knew the drill, I was a bit relaxed, and instead of just studying, I started pursuing other hobbies and in parallel. So I was running a community dance project. I'll share this content, Amit, to you guys. So there's a YouTube link if someone is interested. So it's a folk dance thing. Yeah, but yeah, I in terms of in terms of my preparation, I did around 3 to 4 months of passive prep. So when I say passive prep, I was getting non-CTA specific certs. So I was getting the other certs which helped me on my journey. So think FSL, think CPQ, those certs which would definitely help, which are not mandatory, but they're definitely they can come in handy. Uh, so I was doing that, and also I was trying to seek work opportunities on the areas where I had no work experience. So, for example, archiving. I had in previously I would have suggested an archiving strategy, but I never implemented an archiving strategy in any of my projects earlier. So this is where I seek the opportunity to do an archiving work, and this was over and above my 9 to 5 thing. So like, above the projects that I was working on, I was looking on the what are the other projects happening on the floor or at other clients, and yeah, I just jumped in to volunteer to help, and that helped me to finalize my understanding and go and attempt the board with a clear strategy in mind. Cool. Okay, so coming to a template that I created, and I pasted this on one of my wall, and yeah, I used to glance over it quite often, and just labeled it as artifact and speaking points template. So a part of your CTA preparation, you are expected to prepare. Like you get judged on different domains. I would highly recommend every one of you to go and read this particular exam guide. Uh, the this make this exam guide your best friend, because the judges are actually judging you on each and every one of those particular points. So I spent lots of time reading this and preparing strategy and finalizing my like polishing my knowledge on each and every point. Wherever I did not have experience, I banged on my study buddies. I tried to do a kind of a POC on my own. I tried to see what has been done on other projects. So I did ask many people, and I did watch multiple YouTube videos to finalize. But don't go attempt the board without going through the exam guide and having a clear strategy for each and every one of those particular points. So this would be really key. So what I did in terms of to assist me in my presentation, uh, that I get scored on, like, yeah, like to reduce the time in my Q&A. Like I answer all the questions up front, so I knew the judges are scoring me on this points. So accordingly, I went and I prepared kind of a speaking points template. So I mapped. So this was the 9 artifacts that I drew, and with each of the artifacts, I had a clear strategy in terms of how I would be presenting them, how I would be preparing them to begin with, on a flip chart or in a PPT or whiteboard or in the Word document. And then while presenting, what are the key points that am planning to cover. So if I can just take a think about this as just kind of a high level wine tasting. My handwriting is terrible, and I'm very glad that I wasn't judged on my handwriting. But yeah, just to give you like a preview of how I went about this. So I started with my company overview, which was just some bullet points in presentation with which covered my kind of an overview of the company, the pain points and their wish list, their org strategy, the single language, multi-language, and multi-currency. If I have to give you just a sneak peek on one of, so this is the kind of thing that I presented. This is one of my mock which I've done. So like a brief company overview, multi-language and how that will be done, the pain points and wish list, and what will be the org strategy, and accordingly what would be the justification for the same. So that was my first slide, followed by my user license. So this was a table that I drew in PPT with each for each persona, internal, external, what is their volume, number of users, what license do I propose, and what are the justifications. I would cover in terms of the license selection, and how does that tie in and impact rest of your artifacts, specifically your data model. So when I cover, like I show you the mind map that I created for data model, that will help you understand what are the things that you need to keep in mind. My role hierarchy, system landscape, and this is where, while presenting the landscape, I made a point to cover my users, the identity, the flow that I was that will be used. Zooming in on the Salesforce side, what are the different components that would be the clouds and the app exchanges that I would be using? What will be my document strategy, and yeah, mobile strategy, and few other things. Similarly, for data model, it's very important to clearly have a template for working for you, where you definitely highlight the object type, the relationship type, who is the owner, and whether it's a large data volume or things like that. And yeah, map it. Like, do not like don't give the user Sales Cloud license and propose an entitlement and milestone. That will land you in trouble. So something like that you keep in mind. Uh, Business requirement. This was in Word, and I had some strategy in terms of how I would be formatting in Word. I had a artifact for my data migration perspective. I had one for governance, which covered my COE structure, what will be the key objectives, what will be the methodology being used, uh, and yeah, with the key rationale. And with governance, it is important to tie back whatever you have drawn or whatever you plan to draw on the go with the actual requirements. So you go through the requirements one by one and then connect it back to the artifact. And then finally, an environment strategy. And in environment strategy, it's the key things to cover is where that would be done, who would be doing it, what would be done in a particular environment, and what sort of tools would be used. Yeah, like I would be using codescan.io for my static code analysis, and this will be happening during the time of development. And sorry, sorry. Yeah, and also what will be the environment type and my branching strategy. So this is just a kind of a can think of it as a wine tasting. I'm just giving you like a quick like a glimpse on what you are expected to present and what was my strategy going into this particular board. So I had clear strategy for each and every artifact that I was presenting and what I was speaking through. So have build your own template and yeah, like practice it over and over in terms of while giving your mock boards, stick to your strategy and yeah, uh, go nail your CTA. Cool. So coming to the system landscape, so this is the kind of a template that I built and I used in my CTA board, but I use it on my day to day on my projects and on my proposals as well. So uh, yeah, and I thought I would share it back with to the community. Yeah, so like I will before then, like I did not have a lucid chart or something like that to in my review board. My CTA, my landscape looked like this. So this is just a template that I used. But yeah, I drew it by hand and in my paper. But yeah, the key call outs here. Important to highlight which systems are existing, and you are planning to partially decommission. So, for example, you have SAP used for ERP, but also used for lead tracking purposes. For let's say, for example, then you would be retaining the ERP functions, but moving the lead management functions into Salesforce. So highlighting that it will be partially decommissioned. Or is something like there is a legacy CRM that you will be completely decommissioning and moving it into Salesforce. So highlighting that, and also highlighting the data that would move via ESB into Salesforce, and what sort of an API that would you will be using for your ESB and ETLs, and what will be your authentication mechanism. Also, this like those who would have given few mocks would understand that there is a pattern to the madness. Like mock scenarios go are in particular format, and you would always and even in your real life you would always have single sign-on requirements with Active Directory based user store or a custom LDAP based user store, and you would use either a ADFS or some IDP like Okta or something for your internal users to do SAML into Salesforce. And for external users, you would have social sign-on. It's important to put all the details out in this particular diagram, as much detail as possible, so that you can reduce your time in Q&A. You can answer all the questions upfront. In terms of zooming in on the Salesforce block, the way I structured my artifacts is around core clouds, followed by my community, if there is any community, which in your review board, 90% would be, there would be definitely a community aspect. Industry cloud, like CPQ, FSL that you're planning to use. Uh, I would say, like, yeah, it's not mandatory to have knowledge of this, but uh, yeah, like spending time or doing projects on this would be highly beneficial. Understanding the data model would come really handy. Even if you don't end up using a particular cloud, but yeah, you can take inspiration from the data model and yeah, build something of your own. Uh, then followed by the add-on licenses. Not all features in Salesforce are for free, so you need to, if you are planning to use digital engagement or social customer services, I put it on my landscape and I also put it on my license table. App Exchange products that you plan to use, like for DocGen or e-signatures, and then like different connectors, like for CTI, for CMS, for your Files Connect, you can have Files Connect or an App Exchange, uh, and also your other Salesforce clouds, your marketing power commerce cloud. If you end up using any of this, then highlighting the connector, the cross cloud connector that would be used, your website integration, email to lead or others, and your third party web app, the all the integration which will not be going via ESB, with you having a specific rationale. So let's say there's a third party web app you are embedding inside Salesforce experience as a canvas. You would highlight in your landscape, and then I tried to put the channels, but yeah, I could not do that in my actual board given the time limit, and also most importantly, Tableau CRM as well. If you're proposing something, definitely don't forget to put it on your system landscape. So this is the kind of a template that I used, and this helped me build something like this, which is similar to what you saw earlier, in a similar structure. So yeah, having a mind map, your own mind map to tackle things like this would definitely come in handy. I would definitely take questions at the end on this if you have any specific questions. Moving to the next one, like, this is the key, from my understanding. Your data model is the key, because your business requirements uh, and your whole solution around security and everything would hang on your data model. So getting data model right would get you like 10 steps closer to getting CTA. So my strategy for getting data model right in my second attempt. In my first attempt, I wasn't that this well versed, but in my second attempt, I spent lots and lots of time mastering the data model. Mastering the standard data model. So I'll just give you a glimpse of what I did. When if you happy to share this with you, if this is of help. Uh, Again, this is not complete, and this is from my gathering of going through Salesforce documentation. But the key thing that I have on my data model are objects that are available in both sales and service, objects available in sales only, available in CPQ only, available in service only, and available in FSL only. So that's my color coding. So for example, my entitlements, it's this color coded, so it's available in service cloud only. So understanding which objects are available in which particular with which license and how they are related to other standard objects is very important. I cannot stress how important it is. Uh, because yeah, if you end up using standard data model, the chances are if you get it right, you can leverage the standard functionality to standard features to meet your needs. Meaning you would not have to build something custom, meaning you would end up with less questions and more scalable and more elegant solution. So understanding standard objects, how they are related, like what is which of them have master detail versus which of them have a kind of a special lookup. There are many relationships which are kind of lookup, but they act as a master detail because yeah, for example, account and opportunity. Technically, it's a lookup, but has a roll up. So understanding this is important as well. And yeah, so this is what I practiced over and over. I have hand drawn version of this, which again I had hung on one of the prominent walls, and that helped me build kind of a mind map. And also I overlaid this with the community aspect, as in what is available in partner versus CC plus versus available in your in your basic community. So, for example, the ones in the red are available only in partner, your lead, your opportunity, and things like that. And there are some objects that are available, but yeah, they are read only. For example, task and events are available in customer community, but it is read only. So having like detailed understanding of all of this is very helpful. And yeah, this is just additional data model around FSL. Yeah, so I hope this helps. Uh, so using this is the kind of an output that you are expected to deliver during your board or your mocks. So I stick to that kind of a format, and that helped me quickly. So if you look at this particular data model, which I did for one of the the mock exam, just observe the number of standard objects that I used. So yeah, like the campaign, lead, account, opportunity, quote, work order, case, opportunity line item, price book entry. So like I tried to stick to standard as much as possible, and where required, go with an external object or custom object to meet the needs. It it might not be 100% that you would be able to do a model which is so standard, but yeah, understanding the standard data model will yeah, if possible to do with standard, definitely stick with your standard objects. So yeah, this is kind of a mind map. I would share this via Amit, or else I would upload it on LinkedIn somewhere that you can use. Cool. So coming to the final kind of my hot tips that I can probably share with you guys from my experiences of failing it once and then clearing it the second time. I cannot stress enough in terms of how much practical experience has been handy for me, but yeah, like try to gain as much as practical experience as possible. Think enterprise project, think big proposals, like work like I worked on multiple RFPs between my first attempt and second attempt, and that greatly helped me in terms of time I took to read the case study and come up with a solution. It reduced because I was working on RFPs. Yeah, while even not actively preparing for CTA, I was working for RFP, and that helped me. And try to while implementing your projects or working on RFPs, try to map it to your CTA studies, and vice versa, and map your yeah, and build it, like think that you're presenting that thing to the board, and have it that detailed, even if it is not required to be that detailed. If you have the requirements, no one is stopping you to making it as detailed as possible. So yeah, just this is my opinion. Might not be yeah, this is my in my opinion, like cracking this cert on just on basis of the theoretical knowledge and coaching is not worth the time and the energy required. Like you can definitely crack CTA without actual experience by theoretical knowledge and getting coached, but try to see, like just taking my example, I made an intentional switch just to gain experience, and that assisted me. So you can crack the cert, but according to me, it's not the worth and time. Uh, the other the was like think, prepare, act, present, defend, and modify your solution like an architect. So what do I mean by this? I did stress on this earlier, but give strong recommendations with assumptions and consideration during your presentation, and justify and provide alternatives during Q&A when required. Like don't start with options and give options and just leave the judges hanging in there. I did this mistake and I paid heavily for that. So I would strongly recommend to give strong recommendations, and practice this on your in your projects. Yeah, and yeah, like giving recommendations with assumptions and considerations. One more key tip is, like, given the virtual way the review boards are happening these days, like do an end-to-end mock on a WebEx virtual machine, and yeah, figure out whether you will be using Mac or Windows, and use that to 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 do an end-to-end mock, because there is going to be a lag, uh, because you would be taking the remote access of the proctor's machine. So just get used to it. Uh, One other strategy that I used, like drawing artifacts early and as you go. So, for example, I drew my data migration skeleton as I was reading the systems, existing systems. Yeah, there were comments around this system will be decommissioned, and following data will need to be migrated. So, as and when I was reading it, I was just putting the data migration skeleton at the same time. So yeah, like this is what I followed, and it helped me. But yeah, give multiple mocks and figure out what works for you. Tie your artifacts back to requirement, and this is especially important regarding governance. Um, like a mistake that I made last time around, that I had my artifacts drawn around governance, and it was more of a template that I just went with and I presented, but I did not connect the dots. I did not connect the actual requirements with the artifacts, and that's why I failed that particular section. So yeah, do not make the same mistake. Yeah, coming to this one, like this one I discovered very late in the game, but this particular extension helped me at the end. But if I would have known about this thing earlier, uh, I would have used it. So kind of like, so I'll just show you what I'm trying to say here. My reading speed is very slow. So what did I do like to practice sprint reading, like to try and hopefully increase my reading speed? I used an extension like this, a sprint reader from Chrome, and I what I did was I read many case studies from Salesforce customer success page. So I use the filters here to change different industries, and yeah, like because if you observe closely, if you any of this particular success stories, this is similar to your mock scenario, or the actual scenario that you would be getting in your review board, where you have the company information, and also they give information about what they did to solve it. So it is handy. It came in handy for me. So yeah, that's one more tip I can share. uh, Most importantly, don't forget to have fun. Make friends across the globe, and learn as much as you can while you're still on the journey. Trust me, the destination of like the title of having CTA attached to you is really cool. But what more cool is, like being on this journey to CTA, because you you would observe that you would learn at least 3 to 4 times faster while you're preparing for CTA compared to your normal time. So make fun, like have fun while being on the journey. I did make many good friends and study buddies, and yeah, developed a good bond with many of them. So yeah, use this opportunity. Yeah, because once you reach here, like yes, you need to find a different journey for you. But yeah, this journey is over. So yeah, uh, this is very important. Find mentor or mentors, someone who has gone through this particular journey and understands the pain, the effort that is required, and also just how valuable this journey is. On this, I'll give a shout out to my mentor, Paul Fail. I call him legendary Paul Fail. He's yeah, he has helped many to crack the CTA. So yeah, like without his guidance and it's I would have not been able to do that because like trying to climb mountain on your own without prior experience, it's tough. And having someone who can guide you along the way from their own experience is very helpful. Yeah. Yeah, listen to podcast and YouTube videos while traveling and walking. This is what I did. Uh, Reverse engineer app exchange package solutions. Nothing against the app exchange solutions, but sometimes what I figured out was putting the whole app exchange package solutions in the scenario was tough for me because I did not have experience implementing that package end to end. So I took inspirations from the packages, let's say for around payment gateways or around event management. Look for the top leading app exchange packages, do a trial run, uh, and see how they have architected it. Like just reverse engineer, understand the data model. And the final and the most important, make CTA exam guide your best friend. Yeah, I can't stress that enough because that is what they are judging you on. Uh, uh, so so understand each and every point and have a clear strategy and a mind map for each and every point. With this, I will pause here and open it up to question and answers, and also any comments. Cool.
Thank you for a great session. And let me allow participant to unmute themselves. And if you have any question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question directly to.
Which certs besides the ones required for the architecture, the intermediate architecture levels, helped you most?
Come again. Do you mean certifications?
Yes. Besides the ones you had to get, which other certifications
Okay.
helped you most in preparing?
Yeah. So that's a good question because for me, what helped me was like, all the knowledge that I could acquire, and the other consultant certifications around Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Community Cloud, CPQ, FSL, also your Heroku architecture, Einstein Analytics. Again, I tried to get all of them and I tried to use them in my solution. So it would come down into your strategy. Let's say if your strategy for if you see some sort of a CPQ kind of requirements, your strategy is to not go with a CPQ package, but go with your own custom solution. In that case, you do not need to know each and every details of CPQ solution. But yeah, even if I would recommend getting the cert. But sometimes even if you don't get the cert, like just understand the content, at least pay specific focus on the data model, understand the data model, because that will come very helpful, come very handy. So even if you cannot understand, like go down the detail of each and every CPQ field and what do they do, it's not like you're not required to go down that detail, but having an experience of just the data model and the high level features and when to use that particular cloud, that understanding is very helpful.
Nikunj, this is Charlie. I have a question.
Hey,
Thank you
Charlie.
so much for staying up so late to give us this presentation. This is wonderful. Lenny, so now you said about studying the Apex Exchange packages and deconstruct them. That's
Yeah.
a wonderful idea. So I'd like to ask you one particular one. You mentioned the payment. So if I install charge and study the data model, now in the board exam, if they want to add online payment capability, is it better for me to recommend charging, or is it better for me to say I assume there's a payment gateway and here is how I'm going to integrate with it?
Yeah, I would. My simple answer to that would be propose which makes your life simpler. So, if you are ready to take on the second or the third level, third line of questioning on that particular topic, and you are comfortable with that particular package, that you have that experience or you have that understanding that you can, if they ask how that is done, you cannot answer saying that okay, the package takes care of it. You need to exactly know, okay, they have an online like a payment accepting page which is hosted on some external system, but you need to have that understanding if you are proposing it. So you cannot say that this is out of the box in app exchange package. Like that answer would, it would get tough for you because they would not stop questioning. The panel would not.
And this one I heard this architecture rule, which is called buy before build, from more than one architect. Now I feel more comfortable if you ask me to how do I integrate with PayPal, for example. I know how to do that, but if you ask me how charging work, that's a lot, frankly. So
Yeah,
what do you think of it?
this is like, again, it's a very tricky question. Like, again, you're think about that. What would make your life simpler from the review board perspective? In the real life project, you might decide to do something else, but think from the review board lens. If you are the chances are that they might not question you that detailed. But in case if they do, it happened to me where I got questioned on some other application program where I was not able to defend. So going by my experience is what I'm recommending. But again, just select what you find most comfortable with, what makes your life simpler and easier.
Gotcha. Thanks.
No worries.
And just answer to you, Charlie, like if you are looking for the PayPal payment stuff, we did a session on the PayPal long time back, and the recording is also available on Apex Hour YouTube channel. So you can see how the PayPal API used to work and how you can integrate Salesforce with the PayPal. So that details are already available on Apex Hour, just in case if you want to review it.
Thanks, R. Okay, that was very clear. Thank you.
Any other question by anyone else?
Hey, Nikunj,
Hey guys.
Hey,
Sorry,
Madhu.
go ahead.
okay, I'll take it then.
Yep.
This is Madhu. So in your preparation, like in the initial days or passive preparation, do you think like we'll take the entire scenario and then try to present it, or rather break down into smaller requirements, like take a requirement from one of your friends or your real-time experience at your company and then try to build it? Did you start like that, or because for a beginner it is hard to completely present the CTA mock review board end to end, right?
Definitely, and that first time when you go and attempt this one, like try to do a mock, that will be devastating. Like I remember my first mock review board because I could only read 50% of the scenario, and even in that 50% of the scenario, like probably more than 50%, but yeah, I could only solve 50% of the requirements, and that is okay. So, Madhu, what is important is as you are just starting on the journey, give one mock in a review board kind of a setup so that you get a taste of what to expect. And then what you do is you take the same scenario. This is what I did. And you try to take your own free time, break review by requirement by requirement, and have a detailed solution against each and every one of them. And also once you have that, try to run that pass through your mentor or study buddy, and get challenged on that, because because initially you would there are things that you would have learned while doing your specialization, your domain certification, but yeah, there are additional things that you need to keep in mind, like what Charlie just asked, or things like that. So try to give a review board to begin with in a review board setup, just to get a taste of it, and then take the same scenario and break it down requirement by requirement, and have a solution for each requirement and get it challenged.
A big congratulations on achieving this milestone.
Thank
Quick
you.
question from your hot tip slide. You mentioned you have to link your governance back to your requirements, and that's what you kind of missed out on your first attempt. Can you throw some more light on this? What exactly this means?
Sure. So, Rupesh, have you seen the review, the case studies that are uploaded into the Trailblazer communities? Like, have you seen some of those?
Not yet.
Okay, yeah. So if you have a look at those particular review board case studies, right? Like you would have a section on governance, which would have 7-8 points, and each of those points would be like 5-10 lines long, and that would have requirements like, for example, the CIO is worried about XYZ, yeah, something like that. So you need to understand that the business availability is the key, and the reason why you are recommending, let's say, agile over waterfall, or you're saying waterfall discovery plus agile. You need to connect back to the actual requirement that you have in your review board, in your case study. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No worries.
Nikunj, quick question. This is Utatya. Again,